Is there a single line that a mother cannot cross even when she has the wealth of the entire monarchy at her fingertips, and her children are begging for the one thing all their friends possess? For the Princess of Wales, despite a year that has tested her strength in ways the public can scarcely imagine, there is one specific battleground this Christmas that she refuses to surrender. A parenting decision that could define the future of the heir to the throne. Yet, it is causing a quiet struggle behind the palace gates. Hello and welcome back to our channel, dear friends. It is wonderful to have you with us today as we delve into a story that touches on the very heart of family life, tradition, and the unique challenges of raising children in the modern world, even when those children are destined to wear crowns. If you enjoy our deep dives into the lives of the royal family, please do take a moment to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us continue to bring you these detailed insights. Now, as the golden hues of autumn give way to the frost and festivities of December, the eyes of the world inevitably turn toward the British royal family. We think of Sandringham, of the walk to church, of the rigid traditions that have held firm for generations. But this year, the narrative is different. This year, the focus is intensely personal, centering on Catherine, the Princess of Wales, and a specific, relatable struggle she is facing as a mother. According to the highly respected royal commentator Jenny Bond, a woman who has spent decades chronicling the triumphs and tribulations of the music house of Windsor, there is one aspect of this holiday season that Kate Middleton music is rumored to be finding particularly difficult. Jenny Bond, the former BBC royal correspondent who has walked the fine line of reporting on royalty with grace and accuracy for years, recently stepped forward to reveal the details of the situation to the Mirror. To understand why this particular Christmas is so complex, we must first look back at the 12 months that have preceded it. It is impossible to discuss the Wales family's current state of mind without acknowledging the shadow that has loomed over 2024. Jenny Bond explained that the current atmosphere relates heavily to the way the past year has unfolded. It has been a year defined by unexpected challenges, most notably the princess's brave battle with cancer. Think back to the shock that rippled through the nation and the world when the news broke. For a young mother, vibrant and seemingly invincible, to be confronted with such a diagnosis is a life-altering event. The video message Catherine released sitting alone on that bench with the spring flowers behind her was a moment of vulnerability that pierced the usually impenetrable armor of the monarchy. She spoke of the shock, the need to process the news, and most importantly, the need to explain it to George, Charlotte, and Louis in a way that was appropriate for them, and to reassure them that she was going to be okay. The subsequent treatment, the withdrawal from public duties, and the intense focus on recovery have undoubtedly shifted the priorities within the Wales household. Bond notes that the struggle is rooted in everything from that diagnosis and the grueling treatment to the logistical and emotional upheavals of their living situation. The family has been navigating life at Adelaide Cottage, and there has been significant talk and movement regarding Forest Lodge. These are not just houses. They are the sanctuaries where a family tries to heal, to bond, and to find normally amidst chaos. The psychological toll of such a health crisis on a young family cannot be overstated. When a parent is ill, the entire ecosystem of the home shifts. For Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, the bedrock of their world, their mother was suddenly vulnerable. We know from various sources that William and Catherine went to great lengths to manage the flow of information to their children, protecting them from the hysteria of the press and the frightening speculation of the internet. They created a cocoon of safety, but within that cocoon, there is inevitably a sense of fragility. When a family emerges from such a trial, the natural instinct, the biological imperative of any parent is to shower their children with love. To make up for the lost time, the quiet days, and the fear, there is a desire to overcompensate, to prove that everything is all right again, to fill the silence with joy and, yes, with gifts. This is the emotional landscape upon which this Christmas is being built. It is not just another holiday. It is a celebration of survival, of continuity, and of a return to the light. Before we reveal the specific source of tension this Christmas, It is crucial to highlight just how much this season means to Catherine. She is not merely a participant in the royal Christmas. She has become its beating heart. Jenny Bond noted the princess's profound love for the festive season, admitting, "Catherine has made the Christmas period uniquely hers. It is the time of year when she steps forward and takes pride of place amongst the working royals. We have seen this evolution with our own eyes. Think of the Together at Christmas Carol service at Westminster Abbey. It has become a staple of the holiday calendar, a moment where Kate shines not just as a royal figurehead, but as a unifying force, bringing together communities and highlighting causes close to her heart. She plays the piano, she hosts with grace, and she exudes a warmth that sometimes feels lacking in the stiffer, more formal royal protocols. She has carved out a space that is distinctly her own, blending the grandeur of monarchy with the approachable touch of a modern mother. This deep connection to Christmas is not accidental. It is rooted in her upbringing. Bond points out a beautiful truth about the princess. Having been brought up in such a happy, cohesive family, Catherine loves making Christmas just as special for her children. We must remember that before she was the Princess of Wales, she was Middleton. She grew up in a household where Christmas was a time of genuine magic, orchestrated by her mother, Carol Middleton. The influence of the Middleton family cannot be overstated here. Carol and Michael Middleton provided a stable, loving, and festive environment that Kate is now desperate to replicate for George, Charlotte, and Louis. Jenny Bond reflects on this, saying, "I'm sure her mother, Carol, with her party pieces business, had all sorts of wonderful knick-knacks to decorate the house. Imagine the scene, a home filled with decorations, not because of protocol, but because of joy, a home where the focus was on family connection rather than public appearance. This is the blueprint Kate carries in her heart. She knows the value of those memories. She knows that feeling of a magical Christmas provides a foundation of security for a child that lasts a lifetime." It is worth pausing to consider the contrast between the Middleton Christmas and the Windsor Christmas. The royal Christmas at Sandringham is steeped in German tradition and Victorian rigidity. There are timmets. There are multiple outfit changes per day. One for breakfast, one for church, one for lunch, one for the walk, one for dinner. Guests are famously weighed on antique scales upon arrival and departure. A jovial but bizarre tradition dating back music to Edward VII to ensure they were well fed. Gifts are exchanged on Christmas Eve, not music Christmas Day, another nod to their German heritage. The gifts are traditionally gag gifts, cheap, funny, sometimes rude. While there is charm in this, it is not the cozy pajama-clad morning of tearing open presents under the tree that most British children experience. Kate has worked tirelessly to blend these worlds. She respects the Queen's traditions and now the King's, but she has fought to carve out private time for her little family to have their own Middleton-style music morning before joining the firm for official duties. She wants the smell of baking, the mess of wrapping paper, the chaos of children playing music with new toys, not just the polite exchange of jokes in a drawing room. However, this desire to create magic brings us to the struggle that is currently arising behind the scenes. It is a struggle that almost every parent and grandparent watching this will understand. Yet, it is magnified 1,000 times by their royal status. The issue relates to presents. You might think, what struggle could there be? They can afford anything, and that precisely is the problem. Jenny Bond reveals the core of the conflict. Catherine and William have tried not to spoil their children unduly, which can't be easy when you love them to bits and can basically give them anything they want. Pause for a moment and consider the weight of that statement. As parents and grandparents, we often want to give our loved ones the world. We want to see their eyes light up. We want to grant their wishes. Now, imagine if you actually could give them anything. Imagine if money was no object, if connections could procure any toy, any gadget, any experience on the planet. The temptation to shower these children, especially after such a difficult year where their mother was ill, must be overwhelming. The instinct to overcompensate for the fear and uncertainty of the past months with an avalanche of gifts is a very human one. The Prince and Princess of Wales are sitting on a fortune. Between the Duchy of Cornwall, which funds their official activities and private lives, and the personal wealth they have acquired, the price tag of a gift is irrelevant. If Prince George wanted a pony, a roller coaster in the backyard, or a trip to space, it is theoretically within their means. But William and Catherine are acutely aware of the dangers of entitlement. They are raising a future king, and two senior Royals. History is littered with examples of royals who were spoiled, indulged, and ultimately ruined by an inability to hear the word no. We need only look at the history of the monarchy to see the damage that unchecked indulgence can cause. There are stories of princes who could not dress themselves, who threw tantrums well into adulthood when they didn't get their way. William and Kate are determined to break that cycle. They want their children to be grounded, to understand value, and to appreciate what they have. This is why we see the children in hand-me-downs. This is why we see them at local events getting their hands dirty. This is why they have chores. But there is one specific line in the sand that Kate has drawn, a boundary that is proving harder and harder to defend as the children grow older. There is one item that, despite their immense wealth and the children's likely pleading, is absolutely forbidden under the Christmas tree this year. Jenny Bond states it clearly. One thing they most definitely won't be getting, however much they beg, is a smartphone. This is the crux of the modern parenting dilemma, playing out in the most famous family in the world. Prince George is now 11 years old, entering those precarious preteen years. Princess Charlotte is 9, and Prince Louis is 6. In schoolyards across the country, and certainly at the elite Lamourie school where they attend, many of their peers likely already possess these devices. Let's contextualize the pressure here. Lamourie is a school for the privileged. The children there come from wealthy families, many of whom may not share the Wales' strict views on screen time. When George goes to school, he is likely hearing about the latest apps, the latest viral videos, the group chats he isn't part of. The peer pressure is immense. The begging that Bond refers to is likely a daily reality in the Wales household. Everyone else has one. Why can't I? Is a refrain that echoes in palaces just as loudly as it does in cottages. But for the royals, the stakes of a smartphone are infinitely higher. It is not just about screen time or the distraction of games. It is a matter of national security and personal survival. Let's break down exactly why a smartphone is so dangerous for Prince George. First, there is the issue of cybersecurity. A smartphone is a tracking device. It constantly pings towers, GPS satellites, and Wi-Fi networks. For a future king, having his precise location broadcasted to tech companies and potentially hackers is a security nightmare. The royal protection officers likely have nightmares about the vulnerabilities a standard iPhone or Android device introduces into the inner sanctum of the royal family. Unlike an average child, where the risk is theoretical for George, the risk is music geopolitical. Foreign actors, stalkers, and obsessive fans are all potential threats that could exploit the digital footprint of a royal child. Second, there is the risk of hacking. We have seen in the past how the voicemails of the royals were hacked by tabloids in the early 2000s, causing immense distress to William and Harry. In today's world, the technology is even more sophisticated. A hacked phone could turn on a microphone or camera without the user knowing. It could record private conversations between the future king and his parents. It could capture intimate family moments inside Adelaide Cottage that are meant to be private. The walls of the palace are high, but a smartphone creates a digital tunnel right through them. Third, and perhaps most emotionally damaging, is the issue of social media. If George, Charlotte, or Louis were to have unrestricted access to the internet, they would inevitably stumble upon the millions of words written about them and their family. They would see the conspiracy theories about their mother's health that circulated earlier this year, some of which were cruel and bizarre. They would see the critiques of their appearances, their clothing, and their behavior. Imagine an 11-year-old boy reading the vitriol that is sometimes spewed on Twitter or in the comment sections of news articles. No child should have to see that, let alone a child who is the subject of it. William and Catherine are trying to preserve their childhood innocence for as long as possible. A smartphone is a portal to the world's cruelty, and they are keeping that door firmly locked. Jenny Bond astutely observes the difficulty of the stance, noting, "Mind you, that line is going to become increasingly difficult to hold as George enters his teenage years." She is absolutely right. The digital gap between George and his peers will widen. As he moves toward 13, the social exclusion of not being in the group chat will become a genuine social handicap. How does a future king learn to navigate the modern world if he is excluded from the primary mode of communication used by his generation? This is the tightrope William and Kate are walking. They are balancing the need for a normal childhood with the reality that their children's lives can never be truly normal. Furthermore, there is the fear of the leak. We live in an era where everyone is a reporter. If George sends a text message to a friend, that friend can screenshot it. If he sends a funny photo, it can be saved and sold. Saw this with Prince Harry's revelations in Spare, where private text messages between Catherine and Meghan Markle were published for the world to analyze. The trauma of that betrayal of private family communications, music being weaponized, is fresh in William and Kate's minds. They know that once something is digital, it is eternal and it is out of their control. By denying the children smartphones, they are protecting them from their own naivety. A joke sent in jest by a 12-year-old prince could become a front-page headline the next day. It is a testament to Catherine's strength. A mother that she holds this line. It would be the easiest thing in the world to hand over an iPhone to keep a child quiet or happy. It takes true resolve to say no when you have the means to say yes, simply because you know it is what is best for their character and their safety. This decision also aligns perfectly with Catherine's professional work. Through her Royal Foundation Center for Early Childhood and her Shaping Us campaign, the princess has spent years studying child development. She understands the neuroscience of the developing brain. She knows the research regarding screen time, attention spans, and emotional regulation. She isn't just making this rule because she's old-fashioned. She is making it because she is informed. She knows that real-world play, outdoor connection, and face-to-face interaction are critical for building resilience, a trait a future king will need in abundance. There is also the matter of the Truman Show effect. These children are already the most photographed children on Earth. Their public appearances are choreographed and documented. Their home life is the only space where they are not content. Introducing smartphones invites culture of content creation into their sanctuary. Kate wants them to live their lives, not document them for validation. She wants them to look at the sunset, not take a picture of it for Instagram. So, what will a Christmas look like if not digital? It will look like the Middletons. Jenny Bond suggests that the holiday will be filled with practical, fun, and perhaps slightly messy gifts. We can expect board games that encourage family interaction and perhaps the famous Windsor competitiveness. We can expect sports equipment, cricket bats, rugby balls, tennis rackets to encourage their love of the outdoors. We can expect books, art supplies, and perhaps items related to their specific hobbies, like George's love of airplanes or Louise's fascination with tractors and diggers. There is also the element of giving back. Kate has been known to involve the children in charitable activities during the holidays. It is likely that part of their Christmas experience involves selecting toys to donate to children less fortunate, reinforcing the lesson of gratitude. This too is a way of battling the spoiled narrative. By showing the children that Christmas is about giving, not just receiving, she instills a sense of service that is the hallmark of the monarchy. The contrast between this analog approach and the rest of the world is striking. Walk into any restaurant or living room and you will see children glued to screens. By swimming against this tide, the whales are making a statement about their values. They are prioritizing human connection over digital connectivity. This Christmas, amidst the splendor of the royal estates, the banquets, and the church music services, a very relatable family drama is playing out. A mother recovering from illness is trying to make the holidays magical while holding the line against the encroaching digital world. She is balancing the legacy of the Middletons, the warmth, the fun, the party pieces with the heavy responsibilities of the Windsor. The struggle to not spoil them unduly when you love them to bits is a poignant reminder that at the end of the day, beneath the titles and the tiaras, they are parents trying to do right by their children. They are navigating the transition of their eldest son from a child into a young man with all the technological battles that entails. We must also consider the role of Prince William in this dynamic. While Kate is often seen as the soft power, the emotional center, William is the enforcer of discipline and the protector of privacy. His own childhood, marred by the intrusive lenses of the paparazzi, has made him fiercely protective. He knows the damage that the media can do. He supports Catherine's ban on smartphones not just as a parenting preference, but as a strategic necessity. Together, they present a united front. William has often spoken about the need for the royal family to evolve, but in this instance, music, his evolution, is a return to tradition. He wants his children to have the childhood he fought to have, one where they can run in the mud, climb trees, and scrape their knees without it being live streamed. He knows that the smartphone is the ultimate breach of the perimeter fence. But let's look deeper into the psychology of this smartphone ban. It is in many ways an act of rebellion against the modern age. In a world that demands constant connectivity, constant updates, and constant visibility, the Wales family is choosing disconnection. They are choosing to be present with one another. Imagine the scene at Sandringham or Anmer Hall, their country home on the estate. The fire is crackling. The dogs are running about. The children are not hunched over screens scrolling through TikToks or playing Roblox. They are arguably bored, and music, that is a good thing. Boredom breeds creativity. They are forced to talk to one another, to invent games, to go outside and play in the cold Norfolk air. They are living a childhood that is becoming increasingly rare. A childhood that looks more like the 1980s or 90s than the 2020s. This analog childhood is a luxury in itself. It requires parents who are present, who have the time and energy to engage. It is a privilege to be able to disconnect, to have a private estate where you can run free without fear. But it is also a conscious choice. Many wealthy families choose the path of least resistance, handing over iPads to nannies to keep the peace. The Wales are choosing the harder path because they believe the outcome, well-adjusted, resilient children, is worth the effort. As we watch the royal family step out this Christmas for the traditional walk to St. Mary Magdalene Church, we will see the polished exterior. We will see the coats, the hats, the smiles, but perhaps we will look at Prince George with a new understanding. He may be a prince, but he is also just a boy who probably didn't get the one tech gadget he really wanted. He might be feeling a little left out compared to his school friends, and we can look at Catherine with admiration, not just for her public grace, but for her private resolve. She is saying to her children, "I love you enough to say no. I love you enough to be the bad guy. I love you enough to protect you from the world, even when you want to dive headfirst into it." This parenting style also sets a fascinating precedent for the future of the monarchy. If George grows up without the constant dopamine hit of social media, without the addiction to validation from strangers online, he may turn out to be a very different kind of king. He may be more introspective, more patient, less reactionary. In an age of instant gratification, a king who has learned the value of waiting, of privacy, and of real-world connection could be exactly what the institution needs to survive. Jenny Bond's insights give us a window into this world, reminding us that the fairy tale life is often filled with the same mundane battles over screen time and sugar intake that the rest of us face. It humanizes them, it makes them accessible, and let us not forget the wider context of the royal family this Christmas. King Charles II has faced his own health battles this year. The gathering at Sandringham will be poignant. It will be a celebration of resilience for both the King and the Princess of Wales. The absence of smartphones at the dinner table allows for genuine conversation between the generations. It allows George to hear his grandfather's stories without distraction. It allows for the transmission of oral history, of duty, and of family lore that cannot happen if everyone is looking down at a glowing rectangle. There is also the Harry and Meghan factor, which always lingers in the background. The Sussexes have embraced the modern media landscape, utilizing Netflix, Spotify, and social media to tell their story. The Wales have taken the opposite approach. They communicate through official channels, through carefully curated photography, often taken by Kate herself, and through their physical presence at events. The ban on smartphones for the children is an extension of this philosophy. It is a rejection of oversharing culture. It teaches the children that their private lives are sacred, not content to be monetized or shared for likes. Consider the cousins as well. The Wales children will be mixing with the Tyndalls, Mia, Lena, and Lucas, and the Phillips children. The dynamic between the cousins is always a highlight of the royal gatherings. Mike Tyndall, being a former rugby player and a more relaxed royal, might have different rules for his household. It will be interesting to see if the no-phone rule applies across the board at Sandringham to prevent jealousy, or if George will have to watch his cousins playing games he cannot access. This is the classic struggle of the strict parent versus the cool aunt and uncle played out on a royal stage. But ultimately, this story is about love. It is about a mother who has looked into the abyss of a life, threatening illness, and come back with a renewed clarity on what matters. What matters is not the latest app or the trendiest gadget. What matters is the time spent together, the memories made in the real world, and the character built through discipline and connection. Kate Middleton knows that she cannot protect her children from everything. She cannot protect them from their destiny. She cannot protect them from the history books, but she can protect them from the algorithm, at least for a little while longer. And this Christmas, that is the gift she is giving them, even if they don't quite appreciate it yet. So, as the wrapping paper is torn off at Sandringham this year, there will be Legos, there will be books. There will be clothes, there will be practical jokes, but there will be no blue light glowing in the faces of the young princess and princess. The halls of Sandringham will echo with laughter, with the barking of dogs, equisound of a Ozses family rec. Kate Middleton's Christmas struggle is a noble one. It is the struggle to preserve childhood in a world that wants to rush it. It is the struggle to maintain privacy in a world that demands transparency. It is the struggle to raise good people when the world treats them like idols. As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to turn the question over to you, our wonderful community. What are your thoughts on this approach? Do you agree with William and Catherine's decision to ban smartphones for the children? Despite their ages, is it possible to raise a normal child in such an abnormal environment? Do you think they will be able to hold this line as George enters his teens, or is it an inevitable defeat? And for the parents and grandparents watching, how do you handle the pressure of technology with the children in your lives? Do you have a wait until 8th rule, or do you believe in early adoption? I would love to read your opinions in the comments section below. It is always fascinating to hear how different generations' music view these parenting decisions. The world has changed so much since William and Harry were boys, and even more since Charles was a child. The challenges Kate faces are unique to this digital era, and her solutions are worth discussing. Furthermore, how do you think events of 2024, the King's illness, Catherine's illness, will reshape the monarchy going forward? Do you think this return to basics approach will endear them further to the public, or does it risk making them look out of touch with modern youth? Thank you so much for watching and spending part of your day with us. We know your time is valuable, and we appreciate you choosing to spend it here, analyzing the fascinating intricacies of the royal family. If you found this story interesting, please do share it with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates. We have many more stories planned for the holiday season, covering everything from the King's speech to the New Year's traditions of the monarchy. We wish you and your families a wonderful, peaceful, and perhaps smartphone-free season of joy. May your holidays be filled with the same warmth and connection that Catherine is fighting so hard to preserve for her own family. Until next time, take care, stay safe, and keep the spirit of the season in your hearts.